Men's basketball and our spotlight this week on Wolves Weekly. We're joined by head coach of the men's basketball team, Jim Shaw. Guys are on a roll, 5 in a row, 8 of the last 10. Some statistics, you guys are scoring just over 80 points a game while holding teams to 65. You've got 4 guys averaging in double figures in that stretch, shooting about 47% from the field. Your turnover margins +5. What have been the biggest factors so far in the stretch that's gotten you now on the doorstep of being in the top spot of the GNAC?
You know, I think that from a personnel standpoint, the emergence of J.J. Churnside is probably changed our team more than anything else. I mean, he gives us rim protection on defense, which we didn't have before, and he gives us a little more of a push in transition because of his ability to run and catch. And then he makes just enough threes to help space the floor. And then collectively, we're just playing a little bit harder so that we've got a little more energy about us and a little more edge to us.
Your last homestand, a couple of wins at home, forced a lot of turnovers, 16 in the win against St. Martin's, which led to a lot of transition and fast break buckets. And then on Root Sports on Saturday, a pretty good battle, probably the most lopsided win in the battles against Seattle Pacific so far in the tenure. Obviously, Tanner's triple-double playing into that. Your overall thoughts about your homestand?
You know, I thought we played pretty hard. I didn't think we played super efficiently from the standpoint of finishing the St. Martin's game. We were up 17 with 3 to go, or 16, whatever it was, and we just kind of slopped our way in when we could have. If you handle things right there, that's a 20-point win. All you got to do is hold on the ball and they'll foul you. And then against Seattle Pacific, I thought we had good energy throughout, and Tanner had an incredible night, which anytime you have a guy that is that clearly the best player on the floor, it gives you a decisive advantage. But we're going to have to find a way to get more rebounds against some of these bigger teams. That's going to be a challenge. And then for us, the amount of turnovers we had wasn't really high in the big picture things for a lot of teams, but for us and where our margins lie, we've got to take better care of the ball. Speaking
of Tanner Omlid, he's here in studio. Tanner, you've had some time now to kind of digest what happened on Saturday night, the school's first triple-double since 2003. With that time to kind of digest, how have you personally felt about such kind of a historic men's basketball mark here on campus?
I don't really see too big of a deal about it. I just wanted to win, and I'll do whatever it takes for our team to get the win at the end of the day.
I think I know the answer to this question, but in game, the focus is helping the team win. It's not doing individual stats. At any point during Saturday night, were you thinking, hey, I'm having a pretty decent performance out here?
When I heard that I had like 8 steals at half, I kind of knew I was having a pretty good game, but we were only up by 6 single digits, and I wanted to make it a double-digit game by the end of the game.
Well, there's a post-game picture floating around the Western Oregon social media that's got yourself, Andy Avgi, Kevin Boss, and Robert Day. If you put kind of those 3 guys that you're in the picture with into historical perspective, obviously Andy being a player of the year last year in the region and an All-American, Kevin with his time here and, of course, winning a Super Bowl with the Giants, and Robert Day doing what he's doing professionally now in Brazil. Looking at that picture, what are your thoughts? How do you feel being possibly building a resume that could put you in the pantheon of Western Oregon men's basketball history?
It feels pretty good. I haven't really had this type of recognition since high school, and it feels I'm not really used to it, and I don't really think I'm at that level yet, and I still have another year left to try and be something bigger than what I am right now.
Tell us a little bit about the story, not the full-blown details of how it happened, but how did you return home? How did you go from Central to Army back here to Western Oregon?
Well, I wanted to play D1 basketball coming out of high school, and West Point was the only offer, so I took it up, tried to do the Army thing, tore my ACL, got pretty homesick, and then about 2 weeks before I had to sign my life away, sign the next 8 years of my life away, I decided to come back to Western, and it's probably been the best decision of my life.
We're going to ask Coach the same thing here in just a second, but looking forward to this week. You've got a chance to go up to Bellingham and play a team in Western Washington who, up until last week and a couple losses up in Alaska, was at the top of the GNAC and a potential #1 seed in the upcoming NCAA tournament. You've got a chance now to pull even with them in the GNAC standings. Talk a little bit about what you and the guys and the coaches have kind of talked about early in this week preparations, getting ready for Thursday at Western Washington and Saturday up at Simon Fraser.
Well, we know Western Washington is one of the best teams in the league, and we really need to put on a good game. We can't play average. We can't play good. We got to play great to make sure that we have a chance at winning this league. And Simon Fraser is a good team. They're better than they were last year. They're hands down like probably the best like team that I've seen from Simon Fraser since I've been paying attention to the GNAC, basically since high school. So it's going to be a tough road trip, and I'm excited for the challenge and ready to compete.
Stand by with us, Tanner. Coach, I'll ask you the same question. You've got a chance to go up and face a top 3 battle now in the GNAC going against Western Washington in Bellingham. What are some storylines that you see, especially after what happened in a close game that kind of separated a little bit late with the Vikings getting a win here at home last month?
Yeah, I think that Western Washington has the most bullets of any team in the league. I mean, they just have so many guys that can score. And against us the first time, the Dixon guy we did a great job on Parker and an adequate job on Stafford. He did kind of what he does against everybody. But Dixon just had a monster game. So they have so many guys that can explode on you. And, for us to beat them, we have to somehow ugly the game up a little bit in some capacity, whether it's getting them off the three-point line because they got 4 to 6 guys that shoot over 40% from there, or manage their second shots because they're +8 in the conference and rebounding. We've got to do something a little better than what we normally do.
And I know you look one game at a time, but heading up to Burnaby on the weekend to face Simon Fraser, a chance, luckily I have with no other teams playing at home that week. I'll be able to head up to Canada to see you guys play. But what are some of the difficulties in planning, not only the trip up to Bellingham, but then having to cross the border, go into Canada, and face a team who a lot of people are not expecting to win, but could shock somebody at any night?
Well, they're a lot closer to the center line than they were last year, like Tanner said. Just the complications of getting across the border and having to have everyone checked and getting out in the bus and back on the bus, and it just is a little bit of a. When you're making your other trips, there's nothing to compare it to. So therefore, just the complications.
We last time you were here, we asked you 4 questions to kind of close out the segment. We're going to do a similar thing here on this week's Final 4. If I remember correctly, and my memory is not the greatest, but when we asked you who was going to win the Super Bowl the last time, you actually said New England. So, not to tout anything, but was that the best Super Bowl you've ever seen?
The one they played with the Giants was pretty parallel, but it's definitely in the top 3, and it was the biggest swing I've ever seen. Like we were talking about, I thought when Julio Jones made that catch that it was a wrap, and then for them to come back the way they did was pretty special.
What's your favorite thing about coaching at the Division II level?
Just opportunities to compete on various nights against various teams and people. That part doesn't really change much. Getting a chance to see if you're improving, chance to see what you need to get better at, and just a chance to kind of help people in the bridge from adolescence to adulthood is what I call it.
We asked this question as well a month ago. Who's the best Division I team in basketball right now?
I think Gonzaga is.
Yeah, I would agree wholeheartedly. Kentucky about a month ago, but yeah, Gonzaga's got so many weapons. And this is a question not only for you, but we're going to actually start by asking Tanner first. Tanner, at this point in time, is your Western Oregon basketball team an NCAA Division II tournament team?
Yes, I believe that we have the capabilities and weapons to be a Division II national tournament team.
Tanner, congratulations on your individual performance on Saturday. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Coach, same question. Are you guys a tournament team?
I think for us, over the next, and it's not very long, in order to be a tournament team, 4 four things have to happen. We have to maintain the energy level that we're playing with. You know, right now our best advantage is that we're playing a little harder than most teams on most nights. And then the three areas that we have to improve are we've got to rebound better, we've got to get ourselves in single-digit turnovers, and we've got to get a little better play at the top of the floor.
Well, we'll see if those things happen. Of course, on the road this week, but a couple of home games, including a senior night coming up in a couple of weeks against Montana State Billings. We'll see how the Wolves progress, especially this week on the road. Coach, thank you very much for the time.
You're welcome.
We'll be right back with the Wolves Rally to get you a schedule of everything Western Oregon related right after this timeout. Our thanks to Coach Jim Shaw and Tanner Omlid of men's basketball for joining us. Let's see where they will be this week as this edition of the Wolves Rally starts right now. Starting with men's hoops, they're on the road to face Western Washington on Thursday night up in Bellingham. That game will be played at Whatcom Pavilion on the campus of Whatcom Community College, since the gym at Western Washington, Carver Gym, is going through a 2-year renovation. So Whatcom will be the site of that game on Thursday. Then the Wolves will head across the 49th parallel and across the border to take on Simon Fraser. That game Saturday night at 7 p.m. up at the West Gym up at SFU. I will be up there, so you can follow us on social media on Saturday night to get kind of an in-depth look at the Wolves up in Canada. As for the women's basketball team, they are here at home, actually starting on Tuesday night as they host a readout against Concordia, an in-state Oregon battle. That tip will be at 7 o'clock inside New PE. The week concludes a little early with a Thursday matchup against the Yellow Jackets of Montana State Billings, again at 7 o'clock over in the 109, the new PE gym here on campus. Other Wolves on the road, starting baseball, weather permitting, of course. The baseball team will start out their 2017 campaign at Fresno Pacific starting Thursday with a single game at 6 o'clock, a Friday doubleheader scheduled at 2, and a Saturday single game at 1 o'clock. Of course, those times are weather permitting down in Fresno. Stay tuned to woowolves.com if anything in the baseball schedule changes. And our indoor track and field team will head back up to Seattle. They'll be in Dempsey Indoor this Friday and Saturday for the Husky Classic, and we'll have coverage on woowolves.com. Speaking of the website, woowolves.com has all of your up-to-date schedules, previews, and recaps of all of our great sports. Let's not forget about softball. Don't play this week, but they'll have a trip to the Hawaiian Islands starting next week. We'll have all that coverage, of course, on the website. You can also follow us on all of our various social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Snapchat. Got you all covered for everything Wolves related. Again, our thanks to Jim Shaw and Tanner Omlid as they joined us today. This has been the latest edition of Wolves Weekly. I'm John Potter, wishing for you a great rest of your day, and until we get to talk to you again, go Wolves.